Hey Lisa, I just wanted to run a couple of searches and fish on your topic so that you kind of see where there might be places for you to be a little bit less frustrated. I think after I ran a couple of searches, it really comes down to what search terms you're using. I tried, for example, first I think I tried alcoholism in Native Americans, and I got about 200 results, and a lot of those were older results, or were really specifically medical, and they're not something I would have understood. So then I tried to make it a little bit less specific and tried the word alcohol instead of alcoholism. That increased my results a little bit. Over here on the left-hand side, I also switched it to full text, and that takes out those interlibrary loan articles. They're not ideal even if you have longer to do your project because sometimes they're out of date. Occasionally I'll get one that's useful. I also put it to scholarly to get rid of a lot of the other stuff that I don't need, like books and articles. I also changed the publication date since you were having trouble finding stuff. And some of that 1980 stuff, like you said, it popped right up, and so it looks so useful. So I changed the publication date over here to 2000 so that everything that it's going to be showing us is more recent. I don't know why it says 2016. Maybe there's just nothing else there. So I'm looking for stuff in the last 20 years or so. And that's giving me about 300 search results. It looks like adding 2 years gave me an extra 100, actually. But then I also started playing around and seeing that some of these articles aren't using the phrase Native Americans. Some of them were using the phrase Indian Americans. And so it looks like that sometimes, or American Indians. I'm sorry, American Indians. And so to get that, you can actually use this word or. So I'm going to say I want the search term alcohol, and then I want the search term Native or Indian. And then just to be safe, I'm going to say American instead of Americans, because again, that's a broader search term. So I'm going to try alcohol instead of alcoholism, Native or Indian in front of American, and then let's see what happens. And again, I've got those restrictors on, so I've got full text, scholarly, and only in the last 18 years. Notice what that did to my search results. It took us from about 450 results to 65,000 results. And again, I think part of the reason is that as I look, maybe the phrasing has changed. You know, in my world, we always called it Native American, but it looks like in some of these scholarly areas, it looks like the phrase American Indian is more common, and that Alaska Native is where the Native is coming in. Now, 65,000 results is too many to look through, but it gives you a lot more options, so that as you can start to go through, you know, you might have something interesting here, like this one looks interesting because it's about the homeless urban American Indians, and so that's really related to our short story. On the other hand, that is 25 pages, and like you said, that's a lot to handle. 25 pages is it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it is pretty large. So I can keep I'm just scrolling here. This is what I always do, is just scroll and get a sense of how much, you know, is there anything that might look useful here? This one's only 4 pages. That's a little short, but you know, if you paired it with one longer article, it would probably be okay. Adult social roles in alcohol use might be of interest. Now notice this one says full text finder. That we can usually find. If you click on full text finder, it usually kicks you out to something called the Electronic Journals Center. Find full text from the Ohio Electronic Journals Center. They're two systems. They don't talk to each other. Like they'll list the record, but you have to click a couple of times to get to the article. And then here's the article. And you're welcome to use that. So that's another example. You can always email yourself the information as you're going through. So I think a lot of this has to do with the search terms that we're using. If I don't understand the title, I often then won't click on it. This one looks interesting. It's 8 pages, was from 2000, Historical and Cultural Roots of Drinking Problems Among American Indians. And you notice none of these seem to use the word alcoholism, alcohol dependence, or alcohol use, or alcohol abuse seems popular, which is why using the word alcohol instead of alcoholism got me so many more results. Once I'm up to something like 60,000 results, I sometimes feel like I can try to add another word. I have no idea what's gonna happen, but if I put in the word homeless, I didn't try this before. You know, we still have 800 results. That's still a lot. So if I only had 200 results, I'm not going to add another word because I'm probably going to end up with nothing. But because I had that many, I can try homeless. I could probably even try, say, articles in the last 10 years if I wanted to, because I have such a wide pool. And then it's just a matter of deciding what two you want to read. When you have this many too, if you're worried about the length, that 20 pages is just too much, now you can find an article that's more 10 or 12 pages. This one's about family use, suicide prevention. Again, as you scroll, you can see that there's just so much more options. This is an example of one I probably would not read because I'm not, the pharmaceutical stuff and the medical stuff I have a little trouble following. Rural Alaska Natives. Maybe you want to read one about Alaska Natives instead of just Native Americans more generally. So hopefully this gives you some direction so that you can start to see with different kinds of search terms. I think that you will have a more successful search for your topic. So good luck. I'll send this via email, but again, always feel free to email me. Don't hesitate at all to email me. If you would raise your hand in a class, you should send me an email because I want to help you through this process. It can be absolutely frustrating, but for better or worse, that frustration is part of the process too. All right, thanks.